Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have another episode of the Truth to Power Show. I'm your host, Mike. For tonight's episode, I want to really get into the topic of black masculinity and what that means. Seems like a lot of times today, the idea of black masculinity is a very touchy subject. Gets a lot of people offended. A lot of people actually don't know what black masculinity is. We have this idea of toxic masculinity within the black community, which I also wanted to touch on, which, in my quote-unquote super heterosexual, or what is the term now, cis-hetero. In my cis-hetero world, I don't really believe that toxic masculinity is a thing. I believe that there are examples of bad, obviously there's bad men. There's examples of men doing terrible things or being creeps as far as, sexual misconduct, as far as just, there's, videos of men assaulting women. I don't believe that's toxic masculinity because that doesn't have nothing to do with masculinity. We really need to get into defining what masculinity is, specifically when it comes to black men. A lot of times I'm seeing like young black boys that have no clue, no idea, looks like they've never seen or had any, real model of masculinity in their home, which is no fault to those boys. But, as we're seeing those boys are becoming men, we see a lot of the issues that our young women are complaining about are stemming from the issues of these boys not really knowing how to be men, these men not knowing how to be men. And I would like to speak to that just because I have a somewhat unique view on this whole thing, just because, the age that I had my father up until I was 15 years old, and I knew what it was to have, a strong male figure in my home. I knew what that meant. I had that balance in my home that allowed my mother to be the mother, the nurturing woman. She didn't have to try to be, the masculine super mom, the I can do everything kind of woman. She was able to be my mom. She was able to be my woman, the nurturer, the loving person. And then my dad was able to be my father. He was able to be the, hard-nosed, tough guy when he needed to be. He had those real conversations with you. He wasn't the most, emotional, softish guy. He definitely wasn't the 2019 father, but he was a father, and he had he instilled a very strong idea of what it was to be a man. And a lot of times, I hear words like the patriarchy, again, which goes into that toxic masculinity. All these things are tied to each other, and it's kind of like we have the assumption that automatically male leadership or quote-unquote patriarchal society means that a woman has to be dominated, or a woman has to then suffer at the hands of a man in this society, which I don't understand at all. Through ancient times, through history, there's been all kinds of cases where women have led side by side with men, or where a man was most times, yes, a man has been in leadership. But as far as oppressing women, as far as being there to then just use that position of power to rule over your woman, and that's not realistic. Let's be honest with you. Most men are not creating these diabolical schemes to hold their woman down and make sure that they're not able to live their best life and be happy. Trust me, ladies, it's not that deep. Now, again, are there some men who do things like that and are out here trying to, abuse their power? Of course. Just like there are women out here that abuse their power. There are people who abuse their power, period. So, again, I just really want to focus on trying to, bridge the gap, try to repair the breach between man and women. And one of the biggest things I'm going to always harp on, the biggest thing I'm going to be it's always going to be a thorn in my side, and I know females automatically assume that it's because I'm a misogynist, but it's feminism. The idea of feminism, honestly, we see the proof in the pudding. The Margaret Sangers, we've seen the documentation of what the goal of feminism was, and at this point in 2019, again, I ask, I want to have as this thing gets further, I'm going to have people on here. I'm going to have Google Hangout sessions and all that, and invite, I know a lot of people personally that have very interesting ideas and different ideas, and I definitely want to have a feminist on here. And just because, not to be confrontational or anything like that, but I'm very curious on what in 2019 is feminism trying to accomplish? Because in 2019, to be honest with you, feminism seems like, specifically when it comes to feminism with in the black community, I just don't understand. It just seems like a big competition between the black men and black women. It seems like all it does is breed an issue. And a lot of women will say, well, that's because men don't like being challenged and all. You're right. Men do not like being challenged. A masculine man wants to be in a position of leadership. And he wants to be ideally the leader in the relationship. He wants to be the head of the household. But that man cannot be the head without a neck, unless he's gonna be out here like my boy Wide Neck. That's not gonna work. You see, I think the issue we have is that a lot of the roles and a lot of the conversations I see online are that men have this standard. Men are supposed to do this. This is what a man's supposed to look like. This is what a man's supposed to do. And we never really see what the other end of that. What's the opposite end? What do we hold our women accountable for? What is a woman supposed to do for a man? Because we know what a man's supposed to offer a woman. A man's supposed to be respectful. He's supposed to protect his woman. He's supposed to provide. He's supposed to be we know what a man's supposed to do. It's very clearly defined what a man's role is in today's world. But on the opposite end of that, what is a woman's role in today's world? Because a lot of women reject their roles the same way a man rejects his role. And I think the big issue with that and why we do reject our roles is because of accountability. We run from the accountability. As a man, to say that I'm the head of household, then that essentially says that anything that happens going good or bad in this house is on me. And a lot of men run from that responsibility to say like, well, I don't really want to deal with that. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of responsibility. We have men that are running from the responsibility of being fathers. So when you talk about being the head of household, of being someone who's looked at as far as where the future of the family goes, not to say, of course, a woman, my wife, she has a big portion, or have a big portion to say what goes on in the relationship. My wife has great vision. I trust her. She trusts me. But when it comes to certain things, she will defer to me, and just like for her, I defer to her on certain things. But we have that balance. I think a lot of times is that, again, like the conversation I was speaking on accountability, is that when you hold yourself as a man accountable and say that, hey, this is what I'm responsible for, this is my job. It could be something as small as saying like, my job is to take out the trash, or this is my role in the house is to, if something goes wrong, to fix it, or whatever the case be. Once you take responsibility and say, this is something that I own, this is me, this is the thing that I do, you will automatically, naturally then hold your woman accountable. You'll say, well, look, if these things I'm taking advantage of, I'm taking care of, then as my wife, as my woman, as my girl, I would want, for you to take advantage of these, to take care of these things for me, to make sure this is taken care of, or I don't have to worry about this. And it's not a thing of competition and saying who didn't do what at the end of the day, or this person didn't do that. And it's just, you're just working to best complement each other. You guys want to supplement each other. What you don't have, this person lacks, I want you to give it to me. And if you lack that, I want to give it to you. That's how a beautiful relationship, a perfect relationship, an ideal relationship should work. But we have a real twisted in this 2019, is that we're really trying to flip the gender roles. We're trying to there's super masculine women, there's super effeminate men out here, and that's an issue. Not to say, look, I'm not gonna get on no gay bashing, to each his own, love what you love. But when I'm hearing the women complain that they cannot find masculine men, then I have to address that. And men on the other end are saying that they can't find feminine women. So we have to address what that issue is. Because a big byproduct of this issue I'm seeing, this breach, this gender role switch, is this simp culture. I'm seeing a lot of brothers out here just embracing this simp spirit of, look, don't get me wrong. The black woman, when she is in her best beauty and flourishing and in her right mind, is beautiful. She is a queen, all that great stuff. I don't get into God and all that worship stuff because there's only one God. But hey, you guys believe in Osiris and all that other stuff, so that's for y'all. Anyways, yeah, when she's in her right mind, I believe that she is truly beautiful and all that other stuff. But these simps are elevating the most. Look, every woman is not a queen, just like every man is not a king. some of these dudes is hood rats. And unfortunately, some of these females is hood rats. And I'm sorry, I'm not about to elevate and give queen status to no hood rats. Or no, y'all shouldn't be giving king status to no hood thug dudes either. Let's keep it real. We have to stop elevating and we honestly, as a community, it sounds bad to say, but we need to cut off now the negative elements of our community, because they are becoming and they are speaking for the majority of us. How many times do we go out and we're fighting against a stereotype of something that I'm wondering, like, where the hell did you get that idea from? Like, why did you think I would not know what that is? Or why did you think that I would like whatever that is? Like why the hell are you talking to me about Tekashi 6ix9ine? Like, you assume that just everybody, like, certain stereotypes we're fighting against because people that have all day long to sit on social media and post shit because they don't have jobs, they're just at the crib doing thug shit or on the block posting nonsense all day on social media, pushing forward negative stereotypes of what we do all day long till one of these things go viral and hit World Star and tell the rest of the people that we ain't shit. That's an issue, and we have to honestly address these issues in our community. We have to address head on the quote unquote Pookies and Ray Rays. We got the Sharkeishas out here. We gotta address that. And I believe that us embracing that culture, us saying like, hey, we gotta take everybody with us, that's not gonna work. Let's be honest. In 2019, it's too late in the game to be trying to save everybody. I've come to this conclusion recently, and it's sad, but it's some of these people honestly are essentially, they're like that, like the feminist ideology. It's like a religion. Everything in their life will fall apart because of this thing as far as their relationship goes. Like, they'll argue with their man to a point that they'll leave their baby daddy, whatever the case be, husband, all these things like that. So many issues in their life but the ideology gives them so much attention. And in today's world, attention is everything. Likes and all this validation is everything. That's currency in today's world, that people will continuously push that thing until the point that it will ruin all relationships, ruin all future relationships with men. Because, to be honest with you, again, the masculine man is not looking for a woman to try to be in his position. A masculine man is looking for a woman to be the woman and a man to be the man. And women, again, say that they want masculine men, but I don't believe that they really do. Like, you can't say on one end that you want a masculine man, but then you're like, I'm an independent person, and that's not, those two ideologies. You can't be independent and want a masculine man. Those two mindsets clash. That's like, for me, I can't, as a married man, say that I'm an independent man. Like, yeah, I can take care of myself, and God forbid anything happens to my wife, I am supposed to. And before I met her, I was supposed to be able to take care of myself, and that's what you should do. But to proclaim and say that you don't need anybody, and that's like your ideology, is that essentially you're by yourself and you could do like that, you could do bad by yourself mindset is terrible. Like, I get it, you shouldn't suffer no man and all that kind of stuff like that, but a lot of times I see sometimes where a female will be quick to just get rid of her man, just peace. And that's not to say that men are perfect or anything, by far we got our faults, but I just feel like the idea of how quickly we dispense of each other is kind of sad. Like, and especially the reasons for it. Some of the times I listen to like the reasons why someone broke up, and it'd be the most simple stuff. And I've always said, like, me and my wife, we say, like, we gonna fight, we gonna have our issues, but as long as we commit to working through those issues together, then we'll be fine. As long as both of us say that we're not gonna give up, as long as both of us say whatever the issue is, we're both committed to fixing it, then we'll be fine. Because if you got two people working together trying to, work on the same thing, more than likely it'll come into fruition, versus one person trying to pull this way and the other person trying to pull that way, and then we have it everywhere. But one thing I really appreciate is the fact that my wife allows me to lead. Me and my wife, we are people who, as best as we can, try to go off of the scriptures. We're not perfect, you might see us, don't judge me. Don't judge. But we try as best as we can to try to model our relationship, our life, off of the scriptures, which goes by the divine order, God, man, woman, child. And that's the order we go on. And I feel like, I'm not gonna say I feel like, I know that. And what has been working, it has been less issues, it has been less arguments, it's been less, it's been a better overall experience when you go by the divine order. But you mess around and mention male leadership in front of your homie and his girl, and that spark a whole argument. She be like, what? I'm the leader too. We both lead. We co-captain. And that's all pride. Like, if you think about black people will say we're in the last place in the race and we're behind and we need to step up. I mean, let's be honest. You look at the other groups of men, and is this even a real conversation? Let's be honest. Is there really? There's really no debate. They're past this portion. They're building the family now. They're building their community. They're building their household. They're building. They're past trying to figure out who's going to be in this role, who's in that role. But for some reason, us, we black people, we're still caught up in just trying to figure out the very basics of a relationship, trying to figure out the basic dynamic of how this thing should work and who should do what and what should be what. And we have to just think about our youth. We have to think about who's coming up and what they're seeing or what the model is for them. What are the expectations? Because again, I've had certain things that I see my father, God bless, that I always grow up, and I see my father that I was able to model myself after. Like, for example, indecisiveness and complaining. Like, I never really seen my father just come home and complain for the sake of, like, oh my God, the bills are this and da-da-da-da. Like, I'm sure he's stressed. I'm sure there were times where they had to figure things out. And, my father was an immigrant from a second world country and came here. They try to figure out the best that they can. And God bless, they figured it out. But to be honest with you, I'm sure he's stressed and things like that. But I've never seen him say it or really express to me that stress or even the emotionality. Like, a lot of the things I see with men my age is kind of strange to me, because I'm just like, man, you dudes be out here selling their soul on Facebook. Like, I can't believe she left me with the kids. Like, bro, like, I just think about my father, and I could not imagine him being such a masculine man sitting here bearing his soul to Facebook strangers, people who don't really care. And his mindset was, do what you got to do, go handle it. What's next? How can I fix it? Or what's the next move? But it wasn't that complacency, that crybaby, that a lot of the things I see in today's grown-ass man, which, again, goes into the issue we have with the gender swap. Unfortunately, when we have these so many boys growing up in these single mother homes, what comes from that? They don't have, again, that model. They don't have that strong father figure. They don't have the ability to see how a regular relationship works, because that's a big thing too, is that a lot of us don't get to see what it is to have a functioning black relationship, father and mother. A lot of us assume that it's like outside of the Cosby Show, not many of us, well, shit, back in the day, actually, we did have better examples. We had Family Matters, we had Parenthood, we had Proud Family. What happened to those times? Like, it'll tell you right there that there's an agenda against us folks, us black folks. The fact that, how many of these shows can you point out today? Just regular shows, just us not killing each other, us not with the, her pregnant with men, like sister type shows. Like, where's just function, just us loving each other, and the regular issues that we focus on, the regular issues that we face. I was blessed to grow up in I grew up in the hood-ish area of the valley, but I didn't grow up poor, definitely, and I, we had enough hijinks in the family without having to have the wild, crazy shit that you see in the world of this person. There's enough regular dysfunction in a black family without seeing the hyper dysfunction that you see online or in the media. So we just have to be very cognizant of that. And, like, again, having that image, having that role model, having that example of that example that many of us didn't get to see of, like, how it works, like having a mom do her job as a mother, having the father do their job as a father, and those two people not really trying to step on each other's toes. Those people saying, like, hey, this is how I come. And it's funny, because let me give you an example. In my home, I love cooking. I love cooking. That's considered a quote unquote, feminine, female-ish, I shouldn't say female-ish, that's a feminine quality, quote unquote, cooking. But in my household, I love to cook. I really enjoy it. I love cooking for my wife. I love cooking for my son. They love to eat my food. So I'm the one that cooks primarily. So in exchange, you know, my wife will help clean up the house while I'm doing that. She'll be helping my son with his letters, whatever the case be. That's how we work that out. And it's not, oh, it's necessary. My son's not going to necessarily grow up and think like a man being in the kitchen is a female job. He might grow up and want to be a cook. He might be on his Gordon Ramsay. Who knows? But, you know, I'm not to be the ultimate, a woman, she places in a kitchen. And no, like, trust me, I'm very flexible. I'm very understanding. But I just want to supplement each other. I want to work on us trying to be the yin and yang versus us trying to overrule one another's position and try to fight and circumvent the other's authority and rule. Because just like a man has his authority, just like a man has his true power, a woman has her true power. Like a lot of times we the quote unquote patriarchy, the idea of a patriarchy is a man coming home, slapping the shit out of his woman, raping her, beating the kids, and going to sleep, or drinking. I think I skipped a step. He didn't drink his alcohol. He got to drink his alcohol first, then beat the shit out of his wife, slap the kids, all that rest of stuff. Go over the next day, start over. But realistically, if we look at our grandfathers and the model that they set for us, and we talk about that, you know, many times our grandfathers worked their ass off, and our grandmothers, they had the intellect, the brain, the math skills, or whatever the case be, and they handle shit at home. They bring the money to me. Shit, you would have to ask the woman how much money we got a lot of times, you know? And that's a beautiful thing, because a woman that, you know, controls and handles her house shit, I come home, my wife tells me, look, this is where I got to put this, and I'm cool with that, you know? Hey, this is her home, and she's made this home for me. Bro, if you would have seen what my apartment looked like before my wife moved in and turned this house or this apartment to a home, like, my shit was looking like a bomb shelter. I remember one day she sent me a picture of my apartment. She sent me a picture of me laying on the couch in my apartment. And I was like, who the hell homeless? Like, it looked like I was in a homeless shelter. Like who the hell's place am I sleeping on? And she was like, it's you, babe. That's the life you were living. Before she came and she cleaned it up. She started hanging up some pictures. Started lighting some candles, putting some furniture in. Next thing I knew, I had a table, I had a couch, and a rug. Shit, she turned my house into a home. And that's a beautiful thing, fellas. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. A lot of fellas too, that's our problem too. A lot of dudes, we don't really want to have no kind of limits. We want to be like, shit, I got money, I'm young, I'm out here, I'm in these streets, I'm about to conquer the world and hit everything hard. It's okay to have a woman tell you like, hey, 3 o'clock, you gotta turn it in, brother. 3 o'clock, come on home to me. Shit, 2 o'clock, come on home. You don't gotta go to after hours. It's okay. Come on home. Be safe. Come get this loving. Come get this guaranteed. Come get this non-STD. Come get this, you ain't gotta worry about this. It's not attached to drama, man hitting you up. Come get this stability. Come get this peace of mind. Because to be honest with you, I believe the issue is that the messages, especially like we see rap, hip hop, or, you know, just movies, a lot of the images we see is never about being family oriented. Everything that we see for a young black male is to go out there and smash as much, just knock everything out, and just as much as we can, just have as many non-real connective, just sexual relationships, no real connection with these women, no spiritual, no emotional connection, just have this real, basically use people as like sex, just use people as sex bots essentially, and then move on to the next one and move on to the next one. And that's supposed to be something that satisfies us. That's supposed to be what our life goal is. That's what the media tells us. That's what rap tells us. That's what we're supposed to do to get satisfied. But we gotta be realistic. That's not satisfying us. Just like the message when females say, I can do what a man does. A lot of these times you see these females, they're 36, 38, and the game has done them wrong. They got a baby or two, and They realize like I'm hard. It's hard now. I need help. This boy's 13. He ain't listening to me no more. Shit, he's 6'2". What am I supposed to do now? You know. A lot of the time they realize after it's too late that those ideologies, it's not working for us. It's natural for you to want to be with another person. It's natural for you to want to start a family with that person. I'm not saying jump out the gate, be 19 years old and start a family, but for you to be thinking about trying to groom and look for a person that you want to really seriously have a relationship with, you should be always looking for that. And that's a positive thing. But everything in our society is telling us to do the opposite. Everything tells us that we should just have as much non-emotional, non-real connections, as much, just essentially just have as much sex as possible without really knowing the people that we have sex with. It blows my mind how many times I ask people, like I'll ask a female, oh, I hooked up with this guy, and I ask them, do you know his birthday? Like, no. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I as a man, honestly, I don't know if I ever slept with a woman who I could not tell you her birth date. Like, I can't tell you, nothing about this woman, where it's just a complete, just, quote unquote, just the F. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna try to keep it as PG as possible. But I'm like, damn. Like, people, if you had sex with someone who you don't even know their birthday, shit, you didn't even get to know horoscope conversation with them. What did you really talk about or qualify this person with to say that they deserve you? What is the person's qualification at that point? What could you really have, what could that person really have? Well, I don't know. Look, I talked a lot for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Look for the new episode coming up soon. I'm gonna keep them coming. More content on the way as I perfect my method. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I'm out. Bless.